we have maybe a couple other even kind of just watchers in the room and everything, just hanging out. So, you know, I know just in general, technology can be somewhat challenging and somewhat intimidating, I think, is part of the other hurdle that we all have to get across, especially with a platform maybe we've never used or some type of, you know, any type of app or anything like that we've never used before. You know, it can be somewhat intimidating before getting kind of over that that hump. So I appreciate everybody here joining. This is my first time using Hopin. Anybody else have, you know, Bob, Andy, anybody else in the room? You guys can go in the chat also. Have you guys used Hopin before? Is this everybody's first time?
This is my second time. I used it before even COVID, one other time, in a very, very, very large symposium. So there was really, other than chat, there wasn't even any true interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's only one place to click on, and this is it. And I just clicked into the one of the others just to see what was going on, and they've got a lot of people in there. So I'm not sure how these are actually pulling together, but
good deal.
Yeah. So why don't we just go ahead and start? I mean,
yeah, I don't know, Andy, if you need to go to your specifics. I know you're a panelist.
So this session is, which session is this?
This is number 2.
This is group number 2, session number 2.
I know, but what's the title of it?
It is pivoting in a virtual world, but there's 3 different rooms open for it.
Colleen, did you find out which one Andy belonged in, 1 or 3?
I looked, and you know, I've got to find the most updated schedule. The schedule I have doesn't have her on there. Andy, when did you become a panelist?
Recently. Yeah, I was a last minute person.
I think you might be 3.
Okay, I'm going to go back to 3.
And Bob, are you an attendee with us?
So,
all right, well, then why don't we go ahead and start?
A bigger room with a lot of people input, you know, but
right.
I don't know,
right.
set up.
Here, why don't I throw a chat in the event?
Right.
Bob,
while we're waiting, would you mind telling us a little bit about why you're here and what you'd like to learn today?
Yeah, so I realize I'm kind of the odd looking one in the group, but
you're the minority today.
It's sometimes. I think what it is number one, looking to challenge myself and expand my market. I have a lot of women as clients, been in business for 25 years. Probably, I don't know, maybe 15% of my book is probably single or divorced women. And it wasn't intentional out that way through my market. So that, and then combined with, I have 3 daughters. And so I'm surrounded by women. So I thought it would be good to get some perspective and kind of pick up on how to guide them and help them.
So are you a financial advisor?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Well, what we have in the room here this afternoon, or this morning, I guess it's still morning, is my name is Janet. And so I do marketing, sort of online marketing for small businesses, entrepreneurs. And then Sarah is the opposite of me. So Sarah, I'll let you say what you do. That's the literal mirror opposite of me.
Absolutely. So yes, I'm Sarah Eley. I am co-founder of my company, Agilient, and we're a software company. So we are what I kind of explained as back-end heavy coders, programmers, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to, yeah, Janet's a nice, pretty front side. And then we are the actual integration and hard encoding in the back end. So that's kind of, you know, what we do and why we like to talk about obviously pivoting in the virtual world.
Yeah, so this would be an
And I'm
interesting.
in here as a moderator, and as I said, I consult with high-tech startups primarily. So why don't we go ahead and begin? And
Okay.
Sarah, why don't you talk a little bit again that may be relevant about your company Curb to Go and why you started that, especially in this last year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my company, one of the things we do is we create custom mobile apps. And I think everybody probably understands that the need for additional support with online presence, mobile apps, all sorts of stuff has really increased in the past 12 months, more so than it has in probably the past 5 years. Just as we are all more isolated than ever, we are returning to virtual platforms, any type of connection over a virtual platform. So custom mobile apps have been very, very needed here in the past 12 months. And my business has pivoted very nicely into that. But we knew not everybody pivoted quite as well and fared quite as well, especially I think we all know like the restaurant industry. Travel industry, that kind of stuff, that's really struggled. I think you guys probably have even favorite restaurants down the street that have closed, unfortunately, in the past year and everything. So what we did last summer was we created a online ordering app that works very similar to the Uber Eats, DoorDashes of the world. And we made it absolutely free of charge for our local restaurants here in our community. Just as a community outreach, basically I kind of figured out, I'm like, other than ordering lots of takeout for my family, what else can I do to help my local community? In creating Curb and Go, an online ordering app was something that I knew we could do because we could code to be able to do that. Lo and behold, it gained some serious traction here in the last about 4 months or so. And yeah, we're now, upwards to 140 restaurants. We have 20 more starting this week, actually going live today. Another 20 going on today. And we got another about 145 that need to be live before the end of the month. So, I mean, it's just phenomenal, the amount of outpouring that we have from restaurants as well as communities to want to come on the app. So this is just a complete technology virtual community thing that we've created.
So have you found that the restaurants have been technology challenged as you've tried to introduce them to these apps?
All over the board. I have a lot of restaurants that are like what I call my mom and pops, that are the ones down the street that still take, orders on a pen and paper, and look at inventory, look at their inventory and say, I need to order this just off the top of their head. They've been doing that for 50 years or more, and that really need my hand holding from myself and the team when it comes to understanding how to use a mobile app and how to use the back-end admin and stuff like that. Then you have the other side of things where you have, young entrepreneurs that are opening up businesses during a global pandemic, opening up restaurants during a global pandemic. And I'm just so proud of them for being able to do that fully understand and really embrace the technology side of things when it comes to opening a restaurant and running a restaurant. And so it's really both sides of things, but that's what's nice about being a small local business, software development business, is I partner with those people.
So how have you done that, especially during this pandemic world? How have you been able to get out and market and get the restaurants or even people like myself to know that there's this ability to take this mobile app and instead of using the others of the world that we all are pretty
Yeah.
well aware of. And I've worked with I've actually consulted and done financial applications for 3 of those big companies.
Yeah.
So
No, you're right.
they're-
I mean,
no,
yes,
get out and market that to be able to get, because it sounds like you're getting incredible
traction. Yeah.
traction.
No, I think we all are challenged this past year with sales and marketing because we're doing things that we've never really maybe had to do before. So to embrace social media marketing, to embrace other types, like just this today, types of platforms where we're able to do seminars and webinars and chat this way. I think it's, super important to be able to be, available when it comes to, doing video, phone calls, all sorts of stuff that way. But I have to tell you, Colleen, I think it's challenging. And I think we all have challenges when it comes to changing our sales model and our marketing model. The thing that really helped me is this has been grown grassroots. Like any other industry, the restaurant owners know each other and they support each other, which is just wonderful. So that's gotten the word out. Plus, I had 3 news outlets in January pick me up here out of LA. So that was an enormous, KTLA, ABC7, and Fox News. And that was enormous to be able to get the word out when people aren't leaving their homes and doing some sales calls, face to face. So I'm very grateful.
So how did those TV stations find out about you to reach out to you? Was it because you were using social media, or was it just word of mouth from these restaurant owners?
Yeah. So combination. KTLA was our first one that reached out, and I was able to reach out to assignment editors via social media. So that just shows you I hear people all the time, and Janet, I think you probably will be able to talk a little bit more about this too. People are like, oh, I don't want to do a Facebook Live. I don't want to get on and put stuff out. I'm nervous. It's uncomfortable for me. And I'm just a live example of what it takes to really get out on social media when you're maybe not super active normally and really have it pay off. So to be able to go to KTLA through social media, tell my story, and then be picked up for live news, I mean, it's just a huge win. Fully for Curb and Go, for the restaurants that have come onto the app, and all sorts of stuff too.
So Janet, what do you recommend for the novice in social media? How do you start? As Sarah mentioned, it's kind of scary and challenging. Even if you're doing it in your personal life, how do you start that for your business?
The first thing I always recommend to people is pick one social media platform to start. Don't try to do all of them at the same time, because then you'll be a master of none. And pick the one that you're most comfortable with. And also what's important in making that decision is what one are you comfortable on, but where is your ideal client? So for example, we work with small business owners. So we like to be on LinkedIn. We used to be on Facebook. We've abandoned Facebook because that's not where our business owners are. So that's where we go. And because we like LinkedIn, because we can network with people. Now, you may be the kind of business where you just really want to show your wares. So Instagram might be a great place for somebody to go. I don't really think people network too much on Twitter. I think it's more sort of just to get caught up on the news and what's happening. So I really recommend people either use Facebook if they want to have an interaction, or LinkedIn. And then of course, having a Facebook page really does nothing for you anymore. You really just sort of have to reach out through your personal profile, which for us, we didn't really want to do because we like to keep our Facebook profile personal just for our family and friends. So that's why we decided to use LinkedIn. So I think that's the most important thing that people have to think about. And then when you make that decision, go all in. You can't just play around with it. You can't just say, well, I'll just do a few posts every once in a while and then say, well, I didn't get any traction. You have to actually be active on whatever platform you're going to use. And Sarah, you probably would agree to that yourself. by
Absolutely.
when you were trying to do out your app.
Yeah.
See that you also have started using LinkedIn Live, and I'm wondering if you'd like to add some comments to the group. Do you want to speak?
Oh, and I've seen Shelley's lives.
I was trying to figure out how to get myself on screen.
There you go.
Hello, Shelley.
Yeah, hello, ladies, and I'm going to look at my camera. I started doing this, like 3 months ago. I have my podcast shows that I do, and I thought, you know what? I need to be creative. And when I became, you have to be approved for LinkedIn, which it does take time to get that accomplished. And as soon as I did, I was nervous because I don't like going live, but now it's like, I love going live. And it's not so much to showcase myself, but it's really to bring valuable content and people that need the, kind of the exposure. And it's grown tremendously. Plus if anybody is going to go live, I would highly recommend that you use a platform like StreamYard or Restream. And then you could stream to other platforms too, like YouTube, Facebook, and yeah.
And that's what we do. We have a Tuesday LinkedIn Live, and I've seen Shelley on LinkedIn, and I've seen. I think you interviewed Annie the other day, and that's how you came up for me, because I'm connected to Annie, and so my partner and I, we do one every Tuesday, and we do the same thing. We only have it for 30 minutes. What we love is the fact that it replays it later, and it does the captions. It automatically does the captions, and we use StreamYard. Because with LinkedIn Live, you have to have a software there. You can't.
You have to have a platform.
It's not like Facebook where you can just hop on to Facebook and go live. You have to have a connection. And we invite different people to come on our show because it does two things. Number one, we're showcasing them, but all their connections are seeing them on our platform. So we're getting like the double hit. And that's really cool. And then also too, we stream it out to YouTube, where we have a pretty well viewed YouTube channel, because we got tons of stuff out there for helping people with, LinkedIn, YouTube, and, and of course, online marketing, because that's what we do. So we help people with their online marketing. And I think that's one issue. Like when somebody's first starting out in business, they have no idea what they have to do to get started. And they think they just have to come out with their product or service. But then when you tell them they have to be on social media, and they have to have an email marketing program, and they have to have a website, and how do they tie it all together? And, maybe they're like us, where we're coaches and consultants, where we have to have a booking tool, and we have to have a payment tool, and all of that has to be integrated into our website and to our social media. And that's sometimes where we get involved in, is helping them how to figure out how to put it all together. We don't do it all for them, but we show them how it all goes together, and then how to outsource to different people in order to do it. Like we tell people, don't try and build your own website unless you're a really techie, because it's way more complicated than you think.
Yeah. I was going to say too, I think, Shelley, you bring up a good point. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Sure.
So Janet,
go ahead.
This is something I've been thinking about for a while. I'm kind of like Sarah said, an order taker, taking orders on and jump into the water into LinkedIn. And I'm about to do that actually, to get signed up. I know it is a good source for staying connected with my client. So, but because I'm in a very regulated industry, there are postings and interactions and things like that, and you kind of have to use pre-approved things or get things approved before you put things out there. It depends on how I can best leverage the LinkedIn platform, knowing that I'm too far, into being ultra creative and trying a lot of different things because, just the industry.
Sure. Well, I can't speak to what you're allowed to post on there, but I can tell you that the first thing you want to look at is you want to look at your LinkedIn profile and make sure your house is in order for people to see you. oftentimes I see there's a banner that goes over the top of your little profile picture, and a lot of people neglect to put anything in there. I always think it's important that you have some kind of a photo in there or graphic, because first of all, it just lets people know that you're alive, and that's great real estate that you can take advantage of. And it lets people know that you're really on LinkedIn. You're not just in it, you know, you're just literally on it. And a good profile picture. And then your header is very, very important, because your header should talk about not that you're vice president of XYZ company, but actually in your header, you can put what you do, how you help people. So, you know, if you want, whatever you want to be known for. So, you know, like I help small business owners with their online marketing, or I empower people, or, you know, whatever buzzwords that you want to use that lets somebody know immediately what you do. And then of course your about section, you can be a little bit more explicit. I think we heard, who was it? Somebody I think we heard was talking about the fact that Evelyn, when she said that, you know, she'd gone through a divorce, and her commitment now is she wants to help other women who are going through similar situations so that they don't have the same issues she has. That would be an important thing, not necessarily to talk about her background, but she could be talking about her commitment to helping women be empowered to maybe manage their own financial situation. And those are kind of the things, Bob, like whatever it is that you speak to, that I would put that in your about section.
So I would also suggest, Bob, that you write articles and post them to LinkedIn and as often as possible. It's another way to get your exposure out there, is, you know, about your subject matter. You're a subject matter expert in financial advice, as you said, for you're focusing kind of in on women, and get that out there. And that's a good way to put your toes in the water without having to do the live if you're a little nervous about that. At least start getting those articles out there, and then maybe take that next step.
Yeah, and I don't even think you have to do lives initially. I think doing some really good creative posts. And the most important thing is, as much as you post, you want to comment. And Shelley, I think you would agree with me on this. Commenting on other people's posts is so critically important. You do not want to be somebody that's known for like ghosting. If you see somebody you know that you're connected to, and you see a post in your newsfeed, comment on it. And I don't mean just like, that was good. Actually say something. And whatever's within the confines of what you're allowed to comment in based on your compliance, add some value in there and tag the person back. And that helps that post go viral for them, and they will appreciate it. And that helps you, because when you are posting, people will see your posts on your profile. So there's lots of little things that you can be doing to help growing your presence on LinkedIn.
And if I could just add something too, if people are liking or, you know, making other comments on, not comments, but if they're liking and loving or whatever, say thank you. So, you know, thank you, and then tag them. And you could have 30, 40 comments on one post, but you're genuinely thanking them.
Right.
Just for engaging.
Okay.
So Sarah, what has worked the most for you? What has worked the most for you?
There's a lot of things. I mean, I think we all know that I like the way, you know, we have already started using the terminology creating a buzz. You know, I think we all know that creating a buzz around something is the best way to kind of get out there in the social media world, as we stay kind of in social media discussion, because I think that's where a lot of people in this group, and, you know, we all want to be able to market ourselves. It's an inexpensive, easy way to get out there. I think we all know social media. So you want to create a buzz. Janet used the term going viral. I'm not sure if everybody knows what that terminology even means when we say we hear it, right? But what does that mean to us? It doesn't mean the latest craze on the dance or whatever somebody's doing, right? Like, what does that mean to us? You know, I think it's interesting when I work with clients and they're like, well, I'm in financial planning or I'm a CPA. like going viral doesn't make sense to me. And I'm like, actually it does. There's people out there searching for experts and free advice from experts. So putting yourself out there as an expert in your field and offering advice, offering nuggets of information, quick things people can digest and do in their everyday day, whatever you have specifically that you can offer, is so important. And there's people out there looking for that on an ongoing basis. So I think putting yourself as an expert is very, very important. Consistency, we've talked about. Doing something on an ongoing basis. I can count on when I go to Bob's LinkedIn, there's going to be something valuable there for me. It's not going to be stale for the past week or 2 weeks or month. It's going to be updated and it's going to be valuable. And I can count on that every time I go back to Bob. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be funny or charismatic or all that kind of stuff. That helps, obviously, you know, on that side of things, to be able to engage people. So that's the last thing I'd like to be able to do is figure out a way to engage people. Ask feedback, ask things in a way to engage. So make yourself an expert, have consistency and consistent updates, and then engage your viewership. And this is across the board, no matter what your industry is. And I want to make sure people understand that, even if you don't think you're in like a cool type industry, you know, that is big into social media and big into online stuff, you are. I'm telling you right now, you are in a cool industry for the people that are interested in what you have. So being able to differentiate yourself from your competitors and get out there and be able to do this kind of stuff, I really, really encourage the people in this breakout room and in this, you know, on every day that I'm with, step out of your comfort zone. Shelly, I love that you mentioned that you weren't super comfortable with a LinkedIn Live, and it's kind of uncomfortable, but now it's comfortable to you. Take a step out of your comfort zone. And just because you haven't done it before, you know, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it today. So that's kind of my thoughts around, especially around social media marketing, where everybody's like, oh, I don't want to deal. I don't know how to do it. You know, we've heard a lot so much today about people being like, oh, I'm afraid of technology. You know, I tell people, step into it, figure it out. It's not as difficult as it seems. Like I said, just make yourself an expert, have consistent updates, and then engage people.
So there's
Well said.
So I see that there's a handful of other folks out here. Would anyone like to step in and give some of their experiences, or if you have any questions for any of the other folks here in this room, we'd love to hear from you.
I'd like to hear if, you know, like Shelly brought up, stepping outside your comfort zone, what else has people done in the last 12 months? We're officially 12 months, believe it or not, into the pandemic. What have you done, especially in the virtual world? Like, think about our kids are now online doing school and everything. What have you done differently in the last 12 months that's maybe not comfortable? I mean, like you guys that maybe weren't with us in the beginning, I was on the news, live on the news. That was out of my comfort zone completely. I'm a tech business owner. I am not somebody that's normally in front of a camera. So, but I knew I needed to do that for my business. What are some of the other things? I mean, you could, if you don't want to come onto camera or turn on your microphone, that's okay, but put it in the chat also.
Yeah.
I'm curious what everybody else is doing to step out of their comfort zone, or something maybe they've done in technology over the past year that they've never done before. I'm kind of curious.
So, all right. So, Era, I see that you're saying you're teaching a college course online instead of in the classroom. That's been, I'm sure, a significant change in the way you interact with your students.
Yeah.
What have you done to make the class stay refreshing and, again, as I mentioned, interactive with those students? What can you share?
Mm-hmm. I'm using Zoom for my classes, and what I often do is make sure that it's an interactive class. Fortunately, it is an ESL class, teaching English as a second language, so it ought to be interactive anyway.
For sure.
So I try to keep them busy. And we also do breakout rooms, which is very helpful, doing partner work and group work. And let's see. I have them doing some work where they have to write while they're online and then share their answers. And I make sure that I vary my speech, that it's not the same all the time. I change the pace. Maybe I'll talk faster, or maybe I'll talk more softer. Or maybe so volume 2, volume, pace, and switching the screen so that they see other things up on the screen. And I use 2 different platforms, the educational platform, and also I love Padlet. Padlet is just fabulous to use. I refer to Padlet a lot. Can get very creative in creating the web space. Now, here I am talking about these things that I'm doing now, but at the time of COVID, we were kicked off campus. We could no longer go back, and we were supposed to, in 2 weeks' time, be online teaching. And I told my dean, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. It's really impacting my physical health. And I'm an older person. I'm 65. And so I thought, no, I just can't do this right now. And I had to think, do I want to retire now or do I want to move forward? But I wanted to move forward because I knew that I was going to get the help that I needed to use computer and be able to start doing social media things, because I'm moving into authorship and wanting to publish books. So I know that I need to be on social media. I have to know lots of people. So I thought I better just move forward. I gave myself just a 6-week break. During that 6-week time, I learned what I needed to do on computer for class, got going in the summer course, and now I'm doing whatever I need to do to get ready for publication for a book.
That's
amazing.
fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good job stepping outside your comfort zone and making things work for you.
Yeah,
Very much outside my comfort zone.
Now,
No, that
what's
makes-
that program you said you're using? Padlock?
Padlet, Padlet. I'll put it in the chat box.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Great.
we'll check that out.
I guess to kind of talk about things too that you're doing, I also think what's interesting, maybe by raise of hands or chat or whatever, what things that have you guys been doing personally that have been different? I don't know about everybody else, but I've actually reconnected over the past 12 months with high school and college friends, more on video, get-togethers, happy hours, family, like doing more family video chats and get-togethers than I've ever done before. I'm curious to see, as everybody's really been, sad over the last 12 months about what's been going on. And I'm the same way too. It's uprooted my life, as well as families, and hearing people, getting sick and obviously passing away from crazy, craziness and everything. But I think there's been a resurgence of connections that I have not had before. Is anybody else? I know Bob, I see you chatted. You're doing more family Zooms. What's everybody else? Janet, what have you been doing personally?
Well, and my family lives around the world, and because I have family in Israel, family in England, and we're all in all different parts of the United States, and we've had more family connections for holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas and birthdays and things like that, where we all show up to the Zoom room together, and it's just really been incredible for us to do that. And I've also looked out to see what other kinds of things that are out there. So my granddaughter is going to be turning 2 in May, and I imagine we're going to be doing something virtual again this year. And there's magicians out there who do virtual parties. You can order up games that you can do, like trivia games and different things that you can do on Zoom now that, we never even thought about doing before in the past. So I think it's bringing us closer together. And would I like to have everybody in person? Would I like to give my granddaughter a hug in person and play with her, absolutely. But at the end of the day, the fact that, you know, we can connect on Zoom and FaceTime and things like that, I think just makes a huge, you know, huge difference from had we had this COVID without all of these great technology tools.
Yeah, absolutely. No, technology.
You know, I know. And I'm also a SCORE volunteer. So if anybody doesn't know what SCORE is, it's a national organization that helps start up businesses. And we have 360 some branches around the country. And I work locally with the Kansas City one, and I've been mentoring, and this is my volunteer work, and I've been mentoring for the last 3 years. Well, we used to host all our workshops live. And then, of course, when we would meet with a client, you know, we'd go to a coffee shop or we'd have them come into the office. Well, of course, last March, everything came to a screeching halt. So we quickly had to convert to virtual and using Zoom. And I ended up having to, and I already knew Zoom because I've been using Zoom for my business for years. And so I started teaching a lot of the mentors who are, you know, 65 and older, a lot of retirees, how to use Zoom, because that was the only way they were going to be able to meet with their clients other than a phone call. And I think Zoom is so much nicer because then we can share our desktops. And so we could share, like, let's have a look at your website. Let's have a look at your e-commerce site. Let's look at your social media. And that has made a huge difference. And now we do our workshops online, and we record them, we upload them to YouTube, we can send them the link. So we're doing things now that actually are better, because before they would just go to the workshop and then that would be it, right?
Yep.
You took your notes. Now they get the recording. It's awesome. So I don't know if we're necessarily going to go back to life as it was. I think there's going to be a new future, and it's going to be some form of combination, like a hybrid, somewhere between. We still want to be in person, but we're still going to continue to the virtual. And look at Hopin. There's tons of platforms like this. And think about it. I'm in Cabo, and you know, I didn't have to fly all the way to Los Angeles or to Orange County in order to be there. Like the last few years. Yeah, the last few years, Susan would ask me to come, and I'd say, I can't come to California. But this year I could participate. And I think that's just so huge that we can be anywhere and be connected.
Absolutely. I mean, the efficiency gains, I think we all get from having technology. We don't have to, I mean, we all, I don't know, not we all live in Los Angeles and Southern California, but we all at least know the problems it is with traffic. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah.
Pretty nice to be able to not go out and sit in traffic when I'm going to customer meetings. And I see, I don't want to butcher your name. Is it Say? Just put a comment in the chat also about conducting.
Go to meeting.
Yeah, client meetings. You know, doing all the client meetings. I mean, the efficiency gain we've all gathered with doing client meetings on GoTo or Zoom, or I use Microsoft Teams to be able to collaborate and do meetings. It's really good. I do have a question though. For anyone that wants to comment on it too, is how do you though stay really connected with your clients and customers on that personal level? I feel like that's somewhat getting lost over these virtual platforms, is, you know, being able to take, you know, do a Christmas party to thank your clients. You know, and this year we're just sending them a gift and saying, thank you for being my client. Like, I feel like we're losing some sort of that personal connection with our clients. Does anyone have any suggestions on how to either continue to have that personal relationship with clients in a virtual world when we are having great efficiencies? We jump on, do a 30-minute call with our client, jump off, and we're not able to connect.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to hop in and say something very quickly about this. One of my sons is a personal chef up in Chicago, and he would do fine dining and go to people's homes. And he thought last March that his business was done and that, you know, he might as well just pack up and go find a corporate job somewhere. And he started to do what was called quarantine dinners. And it was so successful that he got interviewed by the Chicago Tribune, and his business has just escalated like unbelievably. He is making more money now being virtual than he did when he was actually going to people's homes. He's still cooking, so he still does the cooking in his commercial kitchen, and then he has people that he's hired who will go out and deliver the meals, and then a group of people will get together on a Zoom call, and they will then, eat
How
together
creative.
and chit chat together. He has also been doing culinary cooking classes online. And I think he's done about 200 culinary classes online. And think about this, that if you were doing a Christmas party with friends, because he does this for, he does this for Google, where they hire him and he's a gift for somebody, that they could have a culinary class for their family. And so there might be, 5 or 6 Zoom windows open, and he's already told them what to bring, what to go shopping for, what kind of equipment you need to have. And then, he spends 2 hours with them and he teaches them how to make different things, sometimes Italian, sometimes it's French, whatever.
Nice.
And they all get to chit chat together. And then when he's done, he makes one of them the host, he signs off, and he lets them stay in his Zoom room.
What a creative way.
So Elizabeth, why don't you, if you want to talk about it, you've had a couple different suggestions of what you've done in the past.
Virtual vodka party.
And also about the weekly check-ins. And I know that's the way not the virtual vodka, but with the check-ins, we tend to catch up personally before meetings. But Elizabeth, do you want to speak to that? Do you want to come on the audio? Maybe not.
Yeah, but I think that's a really good couple points. Oh, there she is. Hi, Elizabeth.
Sorry, I was not expecting to be in person today. So I was doing a pretty aggressive project during, we actually started it in June of this year, and it was a woman had to do with compensation, the highly compensated in higher education, and looked at the women's power gap. And so I was managing a team of researchers, and it was also happening during the election timeframe. So there was a lot of uneasiness going on. And so what we would do is every week we would have like a weekly Zoom to touch base on how the project is progressing. And I would allow them to just vent whatever they wanted to talk about for at least the first 15 minutes of the meeting. It got them knowing each other and sort of creating this social interaction that they felt very comfortable sharing personal information about themselves, as well as just getting out some of the angst that they had. When the project element of the project ended, what they wanted to do to celebrate. And we had thought about doing a wine party because my financial advisor had just, as his holiday gift to us, was doing a wine tasting, but one of the members didn't like wine. He's from Poland and wanted to be able to do vodka. And so we all agreed on vodka. So I actually sent them all a mystery box of ingredients that would go with either making different vodka drinks. I sent them recipes, cocktail recipes, or the snack element of it. And then I also sent them a bottle of vodka, which was extremely difficult to do in Mississippi. So I actually had to send the woman money to buy her own bottle of vodka because they have really conservative. But, and we did that. We did a 2-hour vodka party, and that was hugely successful. So,
especially imagine by the end of the party, Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, and one guy said, I'm the Christmas party drunk. I mean, he was also smoking weed on it, but it was a lot.
At least everybody's home safe in their own. Nobody's driving. As a business owner, you're not worried about driving.
No DUI.
Mm-hmm.
I know, no DUIs. And it was it's a mixture of, I want to say anywhere, I was the oldest. but most of them were around the 30 years old age. And so it was quite fun for everybody. I really enjoyed it. And trust me, I don't drink vodka, but I remembered what the vodka was like after one drink. But you know, my financial advisor is trying to do what he can to also retain and get more clients. And he did this wine tasting where he coordinated with a local vineyard. And we did a virtual wine tasting. And the vineyard described the wines. They sent us a few wines to taste.
Right.
They also just recently did a Phantom of the Opera where they had 2 stars from the Broadway production. I mean, and it was actually beneficial to the performers because they're no longer on Broadway right now because so they hired them for singing and sort of a Q&A about the Phantom of the Opera. And that was a huge hit.
Wow.
So
what a good way to engage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Potential clients, keep your current clients.
Exactly. And so they've been thinking of creative ways to do that, but also do it in such a way that people like me who might think, okay, let me invite one of my friends to this virtually because they might enjoy the Phantom or they might enjoy the wine tasting. And that's a potential client, a recruitment for him as well.
Referral. Yeah, source. Absolutely. No, I feel like, Elizabeth, you bring up a good point. I started this discussion with how do we feel connected with our clients, where it's just not get on a Zoom, get off a Zoom, business in between, right? Check,
Yeah.
check, right? But I think you make a good point is how do we then, beyond social media, we talked a lot about in the beginning of this discussion, how else do we market and sell what we're doing, no matter what industry we're in? You bring up a good point with financial, you know, and if there's other people that can put in the chat too that don't maybe want to come on camera or to come on, you know, what are some other things people have done beyond LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram to connect and market themselves out there to, you know, to be able to either, like I said, retain your current clients, get new clients, all that kind of stuff too. I think that's a really good, you know, topic to come off. I would go to, somebody invited me to a Phantom of the Opera, you know, watch party. I would go to that all day long. So, you know, I don't know if there's anybody else that would want to share some of the things they've done to market themselves differently in a virtual type platform.
So Bob, have you done anything differently?
The comment. Well, I think the comment in the chat that I think Elizabeth just mentioned, if I remember, it was, you know, basically just talk to people and just check in with them and see how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about selling anything. It's just the relationship, and it demonstrates that there is a relationship. It's not just a transaction. You know, they're not viewed as just a source of a transaction or anything. So I think those types of things are going to probably build the relationship. And then the other thing to think about is, like, I have clients that, you know, they don't want to meet on the computer. That's just the way they are. That's the way they like to do things. And, you know, so in my case, I've had to basically tell the person, I want that just as much as you do, but sometimes we can't do that. And when we can't, and the reason is that, you know, he's an older gentleman, and, you know, I don't want him to get exposed to COVID, given his situation. So for his own good, I told him, look, I want to, but for the next couple quarterly meetings, we're just going to do it this way. And we'll have phone calls, we'll stay in touch, we'll still do all the things that we need to do. But for your sake, let's not push it. But the other thing I think that we also need to start thinking about right now is, my gut feel is that probably by summertime, we're going to be fairly beyond this now. And we're going to be starting to transition into getting back to whatever normal is going to be going forward. But when we do that, it won't be the same normal. It'll be a different normal. And, you know, I think Sarah's, you know, a great example. There's so much innovation going on right now, and it's happening at light speed that we're going to be in a slightly different. Some things will be more like they were, but a lot of things will be different. And we need to pick up on that and probably get ahead of that curve a bit. And so along those lines, I think we need to think about, we still need to meet with our clients in person for the ones that we can do that with. And I think we need to rebuild that part of the relationship and getting out there. But we need to also kind of train them that sometimes it's okay to do something on the computer. And sometimes it's actually more advantageous to do it. Maybe they don't have to, you know, deal with traffic. Maybe we have clients now in different parts of the country because we can do it more easily and more effectively. And the only other thing I wanted to say for Sarah is I think your story is really cool. And, you know, your innovation and that willingness to take a chance and try something different at the time that it's needed, not only was good for you, but it also in your company, but it also made an impact, right? I mean, you really helped out those local businesses and restaurant owners. And I just wanted to throw out an idea that came into my mind for something for you to think about as we look ahead. Is there seems to be, you know, obviously a growing acceptance of electric vehicles and more packaging materials that are less harmful in the environment and those types of things. And there's definitely a following of people that want to support those businesses. And I don't know if you ever thought about maybe either a section of your app that says, you know, here's my green app. That is, you're partnering with people that are, you know, drive electric cars or hybrid cars, and they're doing the delivery.
Yeah,
and
reusable.
Have the environmentally friendly packaging. You know, those restaurants you're going to brand or connect with the delivery services that are using the EVs, and now all of a sudden you're a very niche market, but a growing market. So just a thought.
I like that, Bob. I didn't really think about that kind of stuff at all, or at least you have a green little leaf next to the restaurants that, you know, fall into that kind of, at least to start with that kind of thing. I really like that idea. No, thank you so much. That's perfect. And I love the way you talked about, if I can just reiterate, I love the way Bob talked about he had a client that wants to meet in person and wasn't really wanting to pivot in the virtual world, if I could use our title room, you know, very well. But I love the way, Bob, that you know, stood your ground, because I feel like that's very important, that we all have to say what's important to us and stand our ground, and then help our clients, our colleagues, our friends, our family, whoever it is, figure out how to pivot. And that whether there's some good things about it, we know there's some bad, there's some good, and be able to educate people and be like, you know what, you don't have to drive. We can do this. We can do this on video where you can still see my face and we can still do this kind of stuff and be able to do it. And you save time, you save gas, you know, all this kind of stuff. I think that's so great the way you did that and was able to explain why it's advantageous to him to be able to still, you know, connect with you in a virtual way. I really appreciate that comment that you made, because I'm, you know, being a tech owner myself, I'm usually having to pull people into, you know, doing stuff differently. And fortunately, pandemic has pushed people into the virtual world, whether they want to be in here or not. But I really appreciate you bringing up that comment of saying, you know, I try to educate my clients to understand. That being said, I have a question. How many people regularly use video versus turn off their video or use phone call instead? And how do you think that has changed relationships? Do you think it's important to see people when you talk to them? At what point? Is it a sales call? Do you need to see their faces? You know, is it an employee or a colleague and you don't feel like you need to see their faces? I guess, you know, does anybody have any comments around how important video is versus just voice?
So I'll give you my experience. I've been using virtual meetings probably for the last 10 years. It's part of what I do. I work remotely, and I very rarely even met most of my clients in person. It was always online. However, during this last year with the pandemic, we've started turning our videos on. So clients that I only did the meetings online where we shared documents and we had the audio going the whole time. All of a sudden we all said, okay, what the hell? Let's just start showing each other. And it really ended up personalizing those relationships with those clients. And it was something I didn't want to do. I did not want to be on the video all the time because I didn't want to have to get dressed up and put the makeup on. And it was just easier without it. And then during this time, we all said, who cares what we look like? And we just joining the meetings. And, you know, my clients, most of them are 20, 30 years younger than me that I'm working with. And, you know, they're there in their workout outfits. I am as well. And no one cares. But we've been able to bond significantly more than just being on the audio and interacting over documents. So for me, that's been a huge pivot in the virtual world where I've been in a virtual world for the past 10 years.
Yeah, I agree with you, Colleen. I think everybody's much more forgiving on the video now than they used to be. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, my cat walked by on my desk as I was talking earlier, you know, and I could hear my kids in Zoom down the, but I'm 12 months ago, I would have been very, very, very cautious and nervous about that kind of situation. And we're much more forgiving when it comes to, again, colleagues, clients, you know, all that kind of stuff than we used to be. We're not all perfect looking, even in person. and much less on video, but I think it's changed a lot. You know, anybody else have any comments on video versus voice versus, you know, phone calls versus platforms? Like what have you found that's worked well, and all that kind of stuff?
I thought this is an important thing that has really been noticeable this year. The quality of your Wi-Fi is so important because I've had to up my bandwidth. You know, I needed to make sure that I had a provider that was going to give me really good performance because we use Zoom, and Zoom is just a sucker of all that. It just sucks it all up. And nothing's worse than when you start to freeze on your screen. So sometimes you had to move your computer to where you can actually, you know, hardwire yourself into your router as opposed to just being on the Wi-Fi. And that's very important. And I would tell you what I have loved about being here in Cabo, this resort has the most phenomenal Wi-Fi. It has better Wi-Fi than my home. Yesterday, I did a Zoom call at the beach.
Nice.
At the beach.
I love that.
So I think that's important for people, is to making sure that maybe they had to up the grade of their Wi-Fi and to accommodate things like that. Oh, did we lose Bob?
Yeah, we're starting to, I think people are starting to drop off. I don't see the main stage open yet. So those of you that are still with us, you can stay with us. And then over on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see reception, stage, sessions, networking, expo. Stage should come back to available with a now when we're available to go back to the main stage. So I just kind of want to do a quick check on technology. Exactly. No, but Janet, I think you bring a good point too, pivoting in the virtual world. Not only do we need to be comfortable with the current software that's out there, but hardware. So when I say hardware, I'm talking about your computer that's sitting in front of you, your phone that you use on an everyday basis, a mouse, a keyboard, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure a lot of us heard very quickly after pandemic started, you couldn't find a printer for the life of yourselves. You couldn't find a laptop, you know, at Best Buy or online. And all that kind of stuff. So really being able to make sure that you have the hardware and have the infrastructure, is what I like to call the technology infrastructure, to support your at-home office, your at-home. Right. Deborah, I see you're talking about online school. I know we've talked about online school too. Like, we have to really be able to support your infrastructure for your home and your online office, online school, and everything like that. So, Janet, you bring up a really good point. I don't know if anybody else wants to throw in the chat too, things that they've had to do: increase your bandwidth, buy a new computer, buy a new video camera. How many people had to buy new video cameras? What about setting up lights in your home office?
And green screens.
Absolutely.
All the things that we've had to add. And, my partner and I do a lot of videos for our business. And we actually, one of the things we do is we teach people how to do videos for LinkedIn, because you get more bang for your buck if you do videos on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. There are so many incredible programs you can purchase today. Some are free and some that you pay for that can help you do all these things. So the just this past year, like if we could see like how many businesses were in business like March 2020 versus March 2021 that became available, doing captions, businesses that now do captions that make editing easier, and all these different programs. Like Canva has continued to upgrade itself, which is a graphic design company. All of them have made incredible growth this past year, trying to help people be more, converse with all of this. And that's part of what we do now, is we teach people how to use some of these things. So even our business has grown, because where we were last year, we didn't need to teach people those things, but now we've had to. So I think it's hardware, software, knowledge base, comfort, all of the above. Yeah. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Colleen, do you have anything to add on some of the stuff about?
No, I think that, you've hit it right on the head. I, for one, finally broke down and bought a video camera versus just using the camera on my laptop, because I wanted to be able to use my large monitors instead, to be able to see people, also, just in general. Whereas when I was not using the video, it was easy to keep everything on my large monitor from all the document review and discussions we were always having. But once the video got added, it kind of meant, okay, if we're going to use our video, we're going to have to use a decent camera. Yep. But no, I think everything both of you have mentioned has been great. And
I want to say too, I want to make a point on Deborah's comment here in the chat about the younger people out there. They are so much more comfortable using technology, software, this kind of stuff. But then, like, I think you make a really good point, Deborah, too, the idea that you're much more comfortable on video, especially video on the fly, like live type stuff. I know, I have teenagers, and they'll get phone calls in the car every single time it's video. It's never a phone where they have to actually put up to their I say I do this shows my age when I do this, right? They put
and we need phone. These things now, like I have AirPods in my ear because, I'm tired of the little stringy things.
Right.
Now they only have so much battery life. So, at some point I'll have to replace them probably with something else, but we want to be free to move around. And the technology is just so great that we can continue to add things. Like I have webcams so that I can do dual, like I can, I had to show my son how he could set up his kitchen with a tripod and a webcam and using Zoom. Cause even though he's a great chef, he didn't really want to do technology. So I had to help him with that. And now people are doing online courses and teaching online courses, and Facebook challenges is another really cool tool that people are utilizing.
I think it's so fun. It's so fun. And I put in the chat earlier too, Amazon watch parties.
Yeah. What's an Amazon watch party?
You can watch movies and videos and like shows and stuff with people family and friends from across the country.
Together.
And you don't really have to do anything other than you're watching TV together.
That's cool.
with somebody else, but it just shows you there's
So we could
so
watch
many.
Bridgerton together.
There you go. Yeah, no, but
and
you can
comment on and go, oh my.
exactly. But I mean, those are things that we can't do necessarily today. Is sit in a room, sit in a movie theater with hundreds of people, and be able to watch a movie. So I think it's so important that we find different ways and understand that it's a whole, and like I said, back to the idea that the younger people are more comfortable with this. There's a whole group of people out there that are very comfortable with this platform in the virtual world. And so we need to, to embrace it. But then there's also a whole nother group of people that maybe are not comfortable, that want to still, like Bob was bringing, meet in person, and being able to then help educate people. Back to the top of the discussion that we talked about, becoming a subject matter expert in your industry, and being consistent, and then, trying to engage. Those are the three things with virtual world that I really try to keep going back to be able to still be able to build my business, to where it is today and everything. So I do want to do a quick just check. So just so everybody knows that's left in this room with us. It's 11:56. There's technically a break until noon, so it's about a 4-minute break. So I know people aren't able to go back and forth between event and chat and see what's going on, but we technically have about a 4-minute break until we're going to be back into the stage to go and do our Purple Diamond Award presentations. So just to kind of wrap things up, if there's any other questions, or anything anybody wants to say, go ahead and feel free to type it in the chat. We can answer. And like I said, I'm trying to kind of stretch it out to make sure I don't have any questions and everything, but I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to maybe do a quick bathroom before they go into the Purple Diamond. And everything. But I do want to thank my co-panelist, Janet, for being such a wonderful, wonderful co-panelist with me. And then also our moderator, Colleen. Oh, so grateful.
This is our new handshake. We do namaste.
That's what I do this all the time now, between that and this.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, for being such great panel members, and I think the audience has gotten a lot from your experiences and from the information you've been able to provide from them. And I want to thank the audience again. It's been great. We're glad that we've had people able to give their own personal experiences as well and help understand how this works for all of us, and how going forward, this is our new normal. We will have, we'll take the efficiencies and the best from this past year and incorporate it into what will become our new normal. So thank you all, ladies, and see you all on the stage in a few minutes.
Thank you. Everybody have a wonderful weekend.
This has been fun. I like working with you too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Don't leave.